What's going on, YouTube? In this video, I'm going to be talking about some like house rule type stuff, missed triggers and things like that for us playing, at our house. Because I've been watching a lot from the Chicago Magic stuff and they caught people cheating. But I just want to know what your thoughts are on it. And these are going to go for my personal, what we do at the house, and then out in public. Excuse if it looks like a mess in my truck. That's just a jacket and a Costco bag. I have a bouncy castle back there. It's a whole thing. But anyways, so what they noticed were people were missing triggers. And one, the person missed or tapped their land incorrectly, saw the next card, and then tried to fix their mana. Went back and took it back to where it was before, because they kind of got called out for it. Like, what? In that instance, you saw the next card, so you learn new game information. You don't need to you're not allowed to fix your mana. You have new information and you're going down. That doesn't work that way. The other one was someone had a ability at the end of turn. They were supposed to be counting down on triggers. They were not. And during the middle of the turn, they randomly did it. And then a judge stepped in and was like, no, that's end of step. You can't do that right now. And people in the comments were like, well, he missed a mandatory trigger or whatever. He has to do it. And they're like, no, see, that changed. At one point, if they would say, from what I heard always, was if it is a may trigger and you miss it, you don't get it. But if it is, you have to do trigger, like, when something dies or something hits somebody for one or anything like that, or you draw a card when you lose a life, you would just do it and make up for it. Apparently, from judges that were in the comments, they said, no, that was changed. And now if you're missing triggers and you want to do them or they get called out, you ask the opponent, would they like for the triggers to go on the stack? Normally, if you're missing triggers, it is not helping you. Barring it's being like, a creature dies, you draw a card, or, something like that, where they're like, oh, maybe they mill them out or they do enough damage or something like that. Then that would be fine. But overall, normally triggers are going to help you. And they would ask the opponent, do you want them to get them? And they'd be like, nope, don't want them to have them. It would go away because you missed. People were like, well, that's not keeping accurate board state. Both people get warned. And the guy's like, no, accurate board state is life totals for each person, and board state being how many creatures and things are on the board, which there may be more to board state than that. But those were the ones that they pointed out. And I just wanted to mention that I'm like, for money tournaments, 100% by the rules. If the rules are stated that it's a may trigger, of course you don't get it. If it is a, actual trigger, not a may, then it should go to the opponent to ask. Now, at my house, what we do, if it's within the turn, we'll normally let it happen. We'll ask, what is it? Whatever. If it is something that's going to make you win the game, we're like, no, you missed it. Because at that point, it seems like you're not being punished for missing something. You're letting it slide, and because you forgot about it, and now if we took it from you or gave you the trigger, you would wind up winning the game. It's not really fair to everyone else that's playing. You need to keep better track of it. If it's a may ability, you miss it. That's on you. Now, we're, of course, lenient at the house with this. At game stores also, I do notice that people are more lenient with it when they're playing. Now, if you're a new player, anything like that, 100%, I'm going to be lenient, and I say lenient like it's my choice. No, I'm going to be nice about it. I'm going to be like, hey, just random card because I know it off the top of my head. Rhystic Study, hey, you missed your Rhystic trigger right there. And then be like, oh, and they'll ask. And then it's like, here you go. Either I pay for it, don't pay for it, whatever. But I think that people get in the habit of being nice about it, which is true. I know Commander is a fun format, and I have no problem being nice about it. But then when you go and try and play tournament level or anything like that, there's a shop near me that I enjoy going to. Again, most people are very nice about triggers, all that. You miss something, you call it out, or somebody calls it out for you to help you. I've had people show me combos that I could be playing that I was missing because I just didn't think of something, things of that nature. And they're always very nice about it. But when they have tournaments, and now they have a competitive tournament that they play, they'll sit down and people will play their CDH decks, or they'll play their high-powered popper, whatever they're doing, for their tournament. You'll sit down and play. And most of the time, again, people are nice about triggers and help, but at a certain level, while you're sitting down playing, and they let you freely know, hey, we're testing out our CEDH decks, we're going to be playing like to the letter. And you do, and when you miss something, somebody will help you and call you out for it. And normally they still give you the option, but they do state, hey, if this was the tournament, nobody's going to call that out for you. They're going to leave it, or they're just not going to pay attention that you missed it, was what they would say. And you'll wind up with losing your triggers, or could cost you the match because you didn't draw a card that you needed to, or didn't hand out damage you needed to for hitting the criteria. So that's something that people need to look at and keep aware of. We try at the house. We've come up with like funny, rules to our stuff, that if you miss a trigger, then sorry about that. The camera just slid right there. That if you miss a trigger or something, we come up with a way to make it negative for you if you're going to get to keep it. And that way it kind of teaches you to play better. And again, we know it's fun, but there is a point where if you're storming off of the deck and you've been missing something, or, you haven't kept up with your storm counter, and now you're sitting here, sitting at 20 storm counter, but you don't have a count on it, but you could win the game if you had kept up with it, then we're not going to be nice about it, because it's like, okay, hey, you didn't do your part to keep up with what you needed to at the moment. Why are we being penalized for that, And those are just some things that we do personally. Nice about it at my house. Try to come up with a way to make it negative for you. Just like, hey, and I say negative, but a way to help you keep track of it better. In public, same thing. If you're newer players and all that, when we're not playing competitively at all, we always just sit there and do what we need to do, and get it squared away as quick as possible. And especially if it's going to make you win the game, then most people are like, no, we don't want you to have it. You missed it. That is a you problem, not us. And because when we go to tournaments and stuff, people are not going to be as nice. And we know this. When we sit down to play competitive, I am not going to help you beat me. That is just how it is. I'm not going to penalize myself because you don't know how to play your deck. And I think that a lot of people need to learn that, and learn that people aren't being mean doing that. Of course, we've had that a time or two. People complain about it or want to fix something and all this. And we're like, it's been a whole turn. I'm not going back a whole turn to let you fix something, which is then in turn going to kill me or put me at 1 life or something. No, not how it's written. And from what the judges say, that it was changed, that they asked the opponent, do they want them put on the stack? And normally triggers put on the stack are not good for you. Because if they're going on the stack and they're like, oh, he's going to get to draw 3 extra cards, I don't want him to draw the 3 extra cards. He's going to draw into something that he needs or hurt me in some way with that draw. I do not want him to have it. And of course, there's other ways around it. If, you have Shieldred out and they're about to draw 3 extra cards, sure, you're handing them 6 damage or something like that. Then I could see where you would be like, yeah, give it to him. But in most circumstances, if you miss something and you eventually catch it, I would probably call attention to it, especially in like open play. I would call attention to it, but just be like, I'm not going to take the triggers. I just want y'all to know I've been missing these. So from now on, when I do whatever it is that causes the trigger, I will be counting them from now on, because I messed up and I want to fix it. So anyways, let me know what y'all do. Are y'all normally nice about it, or do you try and always keep people like to the T of what they're doing? Because I try to sometimes, but then other times I'm way more lenient, and it always depends on who you're playing with. If you're playing with people you've been playing with forever and you're like, hey, you misplayed, but whatever. And especially if we're just sitting down having fun, it's a completely different scenario. But anyways, those are my 2 cents on it. Thanks for watching. Peace out.